Did you guys know that My Little Pony fans have created a huge collection of artwork and stories based around these cute little ponies dealing with zombie-like infections and apocalyptic worlds? No? And if you already have heard of My Little Pony infection AUs, are you ready to take a trip down memory lane and revisit some of them? Today though, we're going to be answering the question, what were the My Little Pony infection AUs? Before we begin, I have a very small content warning for these things. While everything is fictional, yeah, you'd be surprised. Some of these artists are pretty good at conveying dark and disturbing topics, which I know can be uncomfortable for some people. So just take care of yourself, my friends. The very last thing that I want to mention before we get started is really important to me is that all artists are credited for their hard work and their talent. I have reached out personally to all of the artists in this video and I've gotten their permission, as well as their username and handle will be on screen, as well as down in the description if you're interested. A huge thank you to all the wonderful artists that let me use their work in this video. If I got anything wrong in this video, please correct me. Unfortunately, with these AUs, there's a lot of art theft and re-uploading, but I promise you we'll talk about that later. Wink, wink. Did I blink or did I wink? Let's start at the very beginning, as we explain My Little Pony infection AUs.
As a result of the outbreak, your city or entire region may be endangered by a lethal agent. If conditions at your location make this a possibility, you need to consider staying in place until the threat has subsided or blown over. The following steps will ensure that your home will serve as a biological or chemical safe haven. Select a middle room on an upstairs floor with the least number of windows and doors. Choose a large room with access to a bathroom and a telephone. Avoid using rooms with window air conditioners, as these are more difficult to seal. Again, remain calm and wait for further instructions from authorities.
Alright. Okay. Wasn't that awesome? That was from an incredibly talented creator named Dragon Fox Girl on TikTok and Insta. Alright. In 2024, starting around January, on social media platforms like TikTok, a bunch of videos and slideshows started appearing, revolving around the characters from My Little Pony, a very popular 2010s children's show. And these children's characters started appearing in creepy zombie-like states. They began popping up on everyone's feed, including mine. These posts only had a few things in common, one of them being, of course, some kind of infection plaguing these poor pony creatures. Therefore, these posts gained the title MLP Infection AUs. For those of you who don't know, AU stands for Alternate Universe. So, in another timeline basically, and MLP being for My Little Pony. Roll up your old sleeves here. Surely the infection doesn't spread through contact from skin. Now, unfortunately, we don't know the exact person who started this trend. I and many other people on the internet have done tons of research trying to find out who was the first. And Pestrophobia by Oshwat, I apologize if I got that wrong, on TikTok seems to be one of the first, if not the first. His art dating back to 2023 back in December. I reached out to him for this video and got his permission to show off his art, so here you guys go. I think it's very important to mention him, but MLP horror has been around for a really long time. It may be hard to actually pinpoint who started this first. However, no one is at fault here for not crediting the original. We can all get inspired by art. That's why this trend spread so quickly. Tons of talented artists finding inspiration from other art and then deciding to create their own. Alright, my friends, so before the demon zombie ponies break in, let's explain and do a really quick breakdown of what these posts would be like. Now, for the majority of them, they're kind of formatted like a journal. They're being updated to keep up with vitals for each of the ponies, or even to show the different stages of infection. And from there, people's creativity went wild, and we began seeing fully immersive stories from these artists. Some posts were made to look like you're flipping through the pages of a notebook, and others were almost full-blown animations. And almost every single one of these AUs has a completely different type of infection, where the artist then creates a whole new zombie-like origin story for their characters. But alright, we'll jump into a few in just a second. When this trend was at its prime, my For You page was flooded with these My Little Pony infection AUs. I was shown so much amazing art and storytelling from all different types of artists. No wonder this thing spread so fast. It's so easy to get inspired and hop on this trend because watching everyone come together like this really motivating. I mean, not to brag, but I did make my own pony designs. This was as far as I got. I got tired and it's difficult, okay? I don't really know how these artists did that, if I'm being honest. But not only did it inspire artists, it also inspired game developers. So there's a few fan games out there based on this concept. All right, so now you're caught up on how these things normally work. It's time to explore some awesome AUs. We're gonna do a little toe dip into the shallows of the lore and the stories from these artists. I would love to do a full deep dive into everyone's AU, but unfortunately we would literally be here all day. I have so much I want to talk about in this video that we just don't have time for. And it was so hard picking what artist I wanted to talk about specifically. There were so many talented artists that participated in this trend. It was really hard to pick. Let's get started with our first one. Starting off strong with chainsaw.brat's My Little Possession. Ooh, this is one of the first ones that really stuck with me, and I will show you why. A truly demonic villain, maybe even older than Equestria itself, is terrorizing and possessing ponies. If someone's mind is weak or not mentally strong enough to withstand seeing one of these infected ponies, they themselves will also become possessed. Like my good friend Applejack here. This is by far one of my favorite pony designs. I mean, look. I actually tried to capture the fear this invoked in me with the power of special effects. I attempted to turn myself into this version of Applejack, but here's how that turned out.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
You're allowed to laugh just this once, okay? Okay, shut up. Their designs for the infected main six are incredible. And I may be saying this for every artist because it's true, but what a creative and unique design. Next up on our list is the Graveyard Plague by the amazing Rebirth Dies on Instagram and Despondent Laura on TikTok. I apologize if I don't pronounce any of these correctly. I'm a little dumb, bear with me. This was one of the artists that I had to track down for this video because I remember seeing their AU so vividly. I absolutely adore the darker and sinister tone of this one. This AU starts off with the Tree of Life. It's used to sacrifice another pony soul to some sort of giant skeleton god. Very awesome, very cool, love that. This beautiful queen sacrifices her husband, Slay, and by doing so it unleashes some kind of infection. While this queen is monologuing, her infected husband comes back for revenge, which in turn infects her as well. And for some reason, once again, Applejack is the first to get infected, which is a common theme among these AUs. Applejack is sadly infected while trying to save her sister from the infected husband from the very beginning. The story's so rich with lore, not even to mention the fantastic art style. I'm gonna leave you with this final scene. Just gets the blood pumping and the bones chilling. Such a dark and awesome story from an amazing person as well. Highly recommend her work. Next AU we're moving on to is the Molt Effect AU. This AU is by Bumbled Eve on TikTok and Instagram. This artist really likes to play with your heartstrings. That's all I'm gonna say. Not to mention their art is incredible. This infection follows Spike. Spike is Twilight's companion. Spike begins itching and becoming irritated, like in other episodes of the show where Spike is shown going through molting. Young dragons molt, kind of like puberty. Obviously, this is a special case. Some of Spike's scales accidentally fall into Twilight's drink, and Twilight begins to get really sick before her body begins to molt itself and mutate into a spiny dragon-like creature. I'm gonna let this next part speak for itself. Not only does this AU have extremely unique and creative designs for all the infected ponies, unlike some of the other AUs, which we'll talk about why later, this one actually has an ending. And I'm not going to lie, it actually made me cry. Don't laugh at me. Don't laugh at me. I know you cried during Toy Story 4, okay? Don't be mean to me. I'm not gonna spoil it here, obviously, because I want you to go and check out this artist's work. I highly recommend you check out this AU and all of the AUs I mentioned here because they're really worth it. Now, unfortunately, this is the final AU that I have time for in this video. This is the Cookie Virus from anxietymonstrr on Instagram and TikTok. An AU based off an episode called 28 Pranks Later, which is one of the episodes along with Bridal Gossip that inspired the whole infection AUs in the first place. Pinkie Pie and Rainbow Dash are playing a prank on all of Ponyville by messing with the cookies. Now, in the episode, the ponies of Ponyville do a reversal prank and pretend the cookies turn them into zombies. However, in this AU, these cookies really do turn them into zombies. Not only does this AU deal with Pinkie Pie and Rainbow Dash dealing with the guilt of having caused all of this, the extremely detailed story and lore and the stylized visuals make this AU incredibly easy to recognize and a very fun read. I wish I could talk about more AUs, but unfortunately, I gotta move on. Thank you for all the incredibly talented artists that allowed me to talk about your art in this video. Thank you so much. Did you guys hear that? Oh crap. I think the ponies broke in. Hold on, guys. I need to get this video done before I turn into one of those things because, I mean, this bite looks pretty serious, guys. Something that I wanted to mention quickly is burnout and people pushing and harassing these artists. So many artists I've talked to for this video have dealt with some kind of harassment from people in the community to pump out all of these My Little Pony stories like they be working at the Rainbow Factory. And I totally understand being excited and wanting more of some of your favorite content. But, you know, there's a reason Avatar 2 took 13 years to come out after the first one. Okay, maybe that was a bit of an exaggeration. Anyways, good art takes time. Whether it's story writing, physical art, or even simply just coming up with ideas. The artist behind a really popular AU called My Little Worms was harassed so badly, they actually ended up deleting their account. And that AU is now completely lost or either uploaded by different individuals. And that was happening to so many artists on the platform. I think people can forget that artists and content creators are real people behind the screen who are just sharing something they're proud of and that they worked hard on. There's not just some robot pumping out all these My Little Pony AUs. Regardless though, I'm glad most artists chose quality over quantity and decided to protect their peace. I think this was one factor as why the trend started to slow down. What the funky hand movement was that? It's the infection, guys. It's making me more zesty by the minute. The community was devouring these AUs quicker than artists and creators could pump them out. And for most creators, it just started to not become fun anymore. And along those lines, we have to mention art theft. This trend unfortunately brought a lot of art theft to the community. Almost all the artists I talked to experienced in some way, shape, or form their art being stolen or re-uploaded without permission. Some people even experience people tracing over their art and then re-uploading it as their own. I know tracing and re-uploading can be seen as terms of endearment, and I'm not going to deep dive into that in this video. That's for another video. I'm open to hearing everyone's opinions, of course. Please comment away. I'm just not deep diving into that here. A story, though, from a lovely, amazing artist that I talked to was when their art got stolen, they politely asked the person to take down their art, only to find that they were immediately blocked by the person who stole their art. So obviously that person knew they were doing something wrong. I wish there was some sort of system in place on social media platforms to protect artists and their work. TikTok, however, almost did the opposite for artists, in the fact that they will randomly ban and delete accounts, therefore letting art thieves easily re-upload that content from those deleted accounts and almost having little to no way of being caught. Now, my friends, I understand loving art and wanting to share it with other people. That's basically what this whole video is. Me sharing other people's art because I find it amazing. But I promise you, asking the artist first is always the best way to go. If you're ever not sure, just ask. But anyways, not only are there My Little Pony infection AUs, this trend inspired a bunch of different AUs revolving around other kids' content. There's SpongeBob, Strawberry Shortcake, Trolls, even Smash Brothers, and so many more infection AUs out there. The list just goes on and on. It just goes to show this trend was so inspiring to other artists. And you know, a very weird way of just bringing the community together. Everyone can get down with a good old zombie apocalyptic scenario. Whether you were just a casual viewer and enjoying reading through these AUs, or maybe you created one yourself. It was just a really fun and enjoyable experience all around. And some of these were extremely scary. I definitely got spooked a few times. Now, one last thing I want to mention before wrapping all of this up, because I want your guys' opinion on it, is you'll notice that most of these AUs revolve around children's media. I brought this topic up before in one of my other videos reviewing a My Little Pony fanfic. It's not for the faint of heart. Please be careful when watching that video, if you do. Using kids' content to create media that's not really appropriate for kids, kind of a slippery slope. However, I don't think any of these artists are to blame. unless they're deliberately trying to market their work for kids when it's not appropriate. You know, for example, TikTok is a 13 plus platform. Adding a simple warning on the video or in the description is more than enough on a platform that's 13 plus. But at that point, it's completely up to the guardian of those kids to monitor what they're watching and make sure it's age appropriate for them. Even though at the end of the day, it's not the artist's responsibility, I very much appreciate the artists who make it clear their content isn't for kids. I'm not saying this about everyone, and I want to hear what you guys think, but I do think sometimes parents and even audiences have a little bit too much trust in the internet and creators. Kind of like the whole kids content on the YouTube situation. But that's a topic for another video. Let me know what you guys think. Ladies, gentlemen, and every pony in between, you've made it to the end. I think I got all the yapping I wanted to do in this video over. The first thing I want to do though is hold a huge thank you to all the artists who allowed me to use their work for this video. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This video would not be possible without them, and I know I wasn't able to cover everyone's AUs, so if I asked you and didn't get to yours, I'm so sorry, but every artist's work is equally as amazing and worth checking out. Please look at the link in the description. I have all of them listed out for you. Not to mention, a few of these artists got their commissions open, so maybe go check it out if you want to get your own little pony OC. Guys, I think I'm immune though. My bite's still there. I'm not showing any signs of infection. There it is. This was such a fun video to research and make for you guys. I appreciate you sticking to the end and revisiting these My Little Pony infection AUs with me. Please let me know down in the comments what you would like to see me cover next. Literally anything. Give me all of your ideas. Hey, I'm back. So, sometime next week.